Take the mic. Sit down. You can sit down.
Sir, my pranam to you. As you said, the highest spiritual master, Madhyam Adhikari and Shrestha Adhikari. How we can differentiate between a Madhyam Adhikari and Shrestha Adhikari?
Okay. There are three Adhikaris: Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttam. Okay. So Shrestha, Uttam, same, fine. But three: Kanishta and Madhyam. Madhyam means middle, Uttam, top. First, middle, and top. How we can differentiate? Very good question. So there's a description of what are the symptoms of each level. The Kanishta Adhikari, he sees the Supreme Lord only, and he doesn't see any elevated people. He just sees. So it's a level of understanding of God, but it's a preliminary. Now the Madhyam, he sees God, but he also sees God's devotees. He sees four things. He sees God, God's devotees, the innocent, and the envious. Okay. So he deals with those four differently. He worships the Supreme Lord. He associates with devotees. He is kind to the innocent. And he avoids the envious. Okay? That's his level of realization. That's Madhyam. And then the Uttam Adhikari, he sees the Lord everywhere, in every circumstance. Even in a circumstance that doesn't look spiritual. For example, I'll give you an example of an Uttam Adhikari. If you go to America, you don't see people who you think are going to become devotees of God. But Uttam Adhikari, Srila Prabhupada, he saw them, he made them devotees of God. In America, there are no devotees. They're just all materialists. That's a fact. They're very much in the material material conception of life. To eat, to sleep, to enjoy fast cars, big houses, money, like that. But an Uttam Adhikari is able to transform a place. So that's the levels. Kanishta, he sees the Lord only in the temple, nowhere else. He can't see anything more. The Madhyam Adhikari, he sees four things: the Supreme Lord, the devotees, the innocent, and the envious. And he deals with each one appropriately. And the Uttam Adhikari, he can see the Lord anywhere and everywhere in the creation. So that's the... Sorry?
Sir, please excuse me.
Put the mic.
Sir, then whom we should choose? The right Adhikari who can guide us to this path of supreme power, Lord Krishna.
Yeah, so the recommendation is at least you should find a Madhyam Adhikari Guru who you can take shelter of, because he will be able to train you in a nice way.
But suppose if we have the guidance and advice of piece of advice from Uttam Adhikari,
that is preferable.
but I think, in my opinion and in my low mind state, Uttam Adhikari, can it be available?
Yes. I just gave you the example of Srila Prabhupada. But you have to, okay, let me take it one step further, the discussion. How you get an Uttam Adhikari is the next question. How do you first of all have to desire to have one. You have to desire, just the desire. Strong desire So the Lord, you see, the nature. This is the next verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I reciprocate with the living entity who desires to serve me. I reciprocate. In other words, if we have a strong desire for a Uttam Adhikari, spiritual master, Krishna provides that. That's the next verse that we will be discussing on Friday. So you have to have a strong desire. But also you have to be that sincere. If an Uttam Adhikari is there, but you don't have any interest, what good is that?
Sir, can one also become a best Uttam Adhikari itself?
Only by serving an Uttam Adhikari.
Sir, please excuse me. If you suppose adopt this principle, Krodha, Raga and Bhaya at this Bhava state, can one can also attain this path? Rather, we should choose a best Uttam Adhikari for this purpose.
No. Let's finish the argument now, and I'm going to help. Please pay attention to what I'm going to say. See, the point is this, that we do need a spiritual master. We cannot practice spiritual life on our own. This is called parampara. It's like electricity. You put a plug into this, it will not give electricity. There has to be electric current flowing behind it. Then you get power. The original electricity comes from Krishna. So that is passed down through spiritual masters. So without question, we need a spiritual master. We cannot do it without. We will only advance to the extent of the realization of the spiritual master we accept. If he is Kanishta Adhikari, you will become a Kanishta. If he is Madhyam, you can rise up to being Madhyam. If he is Madhyam, doesn't mean you will be, but you may rise. But only if he is Uttam, you can rise to being Uttam. Okay. Any other question, but not the same point? Okay. Put the mic.
Sir, as you said, Maya is more powerful than materialist world. Then Maya word is synonymous with Bhava, Raga and Krodha?
I didn't say it, but yes, Maya is synonymous with Raga, Bhaya, Krodha. Yes. I didn't say it, but I agree. It is synonymous. Alright.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you also. Pass the mic.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You said these different stages here. My question is that there will be a chance to one who, suppose if one who reached 5th stage or 6th stage or the last stage, is there a chance to come down to the previous stage?
Well, we are going through the Srimad Bhagavatam of a devotee who was on the Bhava stage, which was the 8th stage. There are 9 stages. I made a mistake earlier on saying 8. He fell down. So that's the answer.
Okay.
But not from prema you don't fall,
okay.
But from bhava you can.
And the part of question is, another point is that, is there a mixture of these all things? Like one or
Not
two?
of stages. Not of the stages there's no mixture. If you're in one stage, you're not in the other. Stage is very clear. It's a bit like, are you married and are you unmarried? You cannot be both. You understand? This is stage exclusive. There's no like, well, I might be on the 3rd stage as well as the 7th stage. No, one or the other. Right? Yeah, go on.
Then another question is that if regarding this impersonalist, if somebody is just taking chanting or just taking Krishna consciousness or doing something, and if he is not at all willing to do any work,
If he is not
at all willing to do any work, as Mayavadis does,
he is not willing to do any work.
anything, and simply Krishna will help or something like that, and even though he has been told to do or he is having prescribed duty something, but still he is not willing to do, maybe because of laziness, and how we will consider him as because impersonalist, or but still he is following.
No, he is considered a devotee in the mode of ignorance. You can have a devotee in the three modes of nature. So he is considered a devotee in ignorance. So he is infected with the mode of ignorance. But because if he has once chanted Hare Krishna even, he becomes a devotee. But he is a devotee of just that level. He has begun.
And I have one more question.
Sure.
Regarding yesterday's that you are discussing, one point you raised that we all came from the spiritual world, and how we came, that point you are discussing, and I have that little confusion there. In Gita also it says that na tat bhashate shoro na shashanko na pavaka. Just if one comes to me and then again he will.
You're quoting the wrong Sanskrit.
Okay. Krishna says that he will.
Yeah, he doesn't come back.
Yeah, he doesnned come back.
Yad gatva nani vartante.
Yeah, that my little confusion is that were already there, and again we are in the cycle.
Actually, you're misunderstanding. Yesterday, my statement was, don't bring up that question. I said it as a prohibition.
But I have this confusion.
I know, but this is being. Look, I'll say it once and I'll not repeat it again. Krishna says, once reaching, you do not come back. Why did you come first place? Because Prabhupada gave this example that first time you don't know, but once you know, you don't do it again. So he gave the example of putting the hand in the fire. So first time the child doesn't know, he puts it. He has a bad experience. Then you say, put it again. He said, no. Put again. No. The father says, no, put. He won't do it again. So that's the answer. You will not do it again. And if there's a doubt that you may do it again, you will not go back until you will not do it again. That's when you go back. Otherwise you stay. You're going nowhere. I don't know why everyone worries about what happens when I go back. First go back. First go back. That issue. You know, it's almost like saying, you're a poverty-stricken person. You know, what will happen when I'm millionaire? There'll be so many. First become a millionaire. Why are you worried about? You're in the gutter right now. So become a devotee, go back. Then you come and tell me why you don't go back. Alright, pass.
This question is not about this verse. Can I still throw this?
Go ahead.
It's a question about the beginning of everything. We're all part of God. Everyone is part of God. These matter and living, non-living, everything is part of God. The question I have is, when we were not all different, when we were just one in the beginning, why did God decide to create separate loks, create Manushya, create everything, and then
Yeah.
people came on earth and they have to achieve their purpose and go back to God back again. My question is, what was the initial intent, if you could throw light on it?
Okay. Thank you for the question. I'll answer it. It's like this. There wasn't a time when we were all one. Even in the perfectional stage of the beginning, we have always been individuals. Now we're individuals who are sick. Prabhu gave the example. When people are in hospital, they're suffering, right? So healthy life doesn't mean no life. Healthy life means life without the disease. So material life is disease life, because we go through birth, old age, disease and death. But the soul actually is not born, does not grow old, does not become diseased, doesn't die. But he's put in this condition because that's his disease condition. So healthy condition means he lives, but there's no birth, no old age, no disease, no death. He experiences what is called Satchidananda, eternal life, full of bliss and full of knowledge. There's no merging. The recovered state of a sick person is not to lose his identity, but to have a healthy identity. Now he has a sick identity in the hospital. He's a patient. So the perfection of a patient is not to die or to give up his individual existence. So this is explained in the very beginning of the Gita, in the verse Na tva evaham jatu nasam, na tvam nime janadipa, na chaiva na bhavishyama, sarve vayam ataparam. Krishna explains individuality of three people: I, you, and everybody else. Krishna is God. He is including himself. In other words, God and us have been individuals all the time. But right now, we are suffering not because of individuality, because of being separated from Krishna. So that's why this process is called yoga. Yoga means to again re-establish the link. You know, when you break something, it's called V-yoga. When you link it, it's called yoga. In mathematics, addition is called yoga. When you add two things, it's called yoga. And when you want to separate them, it's called V-yoga. So it's not a merging or annihilation of existence. It's becoming free from the disease. The disease is separation. Our experience is without God right now. Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to revive our life in connection with Krishna. So today's verse was telling us how to do that. We have to become free from raga, bhaya, krodha, and we have to adopt devotional service, jnana, tapasa, puta, madbhava, magata, and thereby revive our madbhava, Krishna bhava, love for Krishna. Is that okay? Anyway, think about it. But read the Bhagavad Gita from the beginning. It answers your point.
Actually, I've read Gita.
As it is? This
Yes.
Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. And there's an Upanishad, Aitritva Upanishad. I may not be pronouncing it rightly.
Katha.
Sorry?
Katha Upanishad.
No, not Katha Upanishad. Aitritva, A-I-T-R-A-Y-E something.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it says that the Virat Purush, the impersonal form, the formless God,
Yeah.
when it created for the first time Indriya, and it created this Manushya form.
I'll explain the Virat Rupa. The Virat Rupa is an imaginary form of God. it conceives of the world, the material manifestation of creation, as a form of God. Where the mountains are his bones, the trees are his hair, the waters are his blood and semen, like that.
Right.
So that we conceptualize this only one reason why it's given.
Actually,
To understand that there is somebody behind this cosmos we see. There is a living person behind it.
right,
Because we associate a living person with a form, don't we?
right,
So the universe is conceived of as a form of the absolute truth. But the Lord himself has a spiritual form. That's the point.
right.
Which is not temporary.
And it does say this one additional thing that the universe was all created. We were all created.
No. So
That's the-
regarding creation, I'll explain. You did mention, and I didn't answer. The species of life are all created, but the soul is not created.
Correct.
No, I'm explaining something. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavitavanabhi. There is a separate, there are two things here. You're seeing two energies, material and spiritual. The spiritual is never created nor annihilated, but the material is. When you're speaking of creation, it's of this material manifestation. But of the soul, there is no creation. I'm explaining. I know what you're referring to. It says the rishis were created, but they're all part of the species of life. Brahma is created, but it's part of the species of life. We're not talking of the soul. The soul in Brahma and the soul in the microbe is the same. But the body of Brahma and the body of the microbe are different. You see? But not the soul. So the Gita teaches us the science of the soul. In other Upanishads, there is a lot of mention of the creation itself. If you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, the second canto and the third canto, they speak of the Virat Purusha also. But that's the material. Then it goes into the spiritual, the non-created, the ever-existing. Evasam agre, that life that existed before the creation. This is the first sloka of the Chatushloki Srimad Bhagavatam in the second canto. That Lord Narayan taught Brahma when he saw him. After tapasya. So what you're doing is you're confusing two kinds of knowledge. The material creation and the spiritual existence of the living being. Living being is not created. In any Upanishad, it doesn't say. In fact, in the Katha Upanishad it says, Nityo Nityana, Chetnas Chetanana. Nitya. Nitya means always the Chetana. Nitya, Nityanam, Chetana. The Chetana is Nitya, never created. But it speaks of the creation of the cosmos, of the rishis, of Brahma, of the devatas, of the species of life, of earth, water, fire, air, ether, like that. So we should not confuse. That's what the Guru does. He teaches you. And without the Guru, you will go wrong. So you're proving the point of the verse. Thank you. You had a question?
Hare Krishna. This is referring to the comment you made about a disciple, if he has a spiritual master who's a Madhyam Adhikari, the disciple can possibly go up to the Madhyam level. And he has a spiritual master who's a Uttam, then he can go up to Uttam. But it is mentioned in the Shastra also that sometimes the disciple can surpass the spiritual master. My question is, what are the examples of surpassing? And number two is, how can it happen, and is it the will of Krishna to make it happen?
Yeah. Okay, the surpassing, again, you're sharing the similar point about the previous question. It's called conflating. When you superimpose two separate issues on one another, they look confusing. In your case, the two issues are, he doesn't actually surpass him in his adhikari status. He surpasses the spiritual master in the expectation of the spiritual master. In other words, what happens, and there are many examples of disciples who honored their spiritual master by reaching very high stages of Krishna consciousness, by doing services that were very wonderful. One is the son of a devotee. His name was, he became known as Guru of Lord Chaitanya. He said, "You're my spiritual master." Gopal Guru. He was a boy, young boy. So Lord Chaitanya was holding his tongue. And he's asking, "Why you?" He said, "I'm chanting the holy name." He said, "What's wrong with that?" He said, "Because I have to go to the toilet." He said, "But why would you not chant there?" So the Lord, he honored him as being his spiritual master by the name Gopal Guru. So thank you. He didn't actually supersede Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But it's an honor given in recognition of surpassing the expectation. So like this, there are devotees who have done that, who have displayed great honor to the spiritual master. But the devotee never thinks, the disciple never thinks, "I'm greater than my spiritual master." He in fact thinks, Lord Chaitanya thought, "Guru more murkha dekhi, karila shasan." He saw me a great fool. Lord Chaitanya is saying, my spiritual master saw me a great fool. So, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You can't supersede. I mean, he already supersedes his spiritual master, so to speak, because he's the Supreme Personality. Yet he thought himself murkha, a fool. He said, so that's what I mean is conflating. Two different things are being superimposed. Any other question? Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Well, the story is that he had an initiating spiritual master, but if you look at our disciplic succession, it goes through Jagannath Das Babaji. So that's how it's. Ours is a Siksha Parampara, by the way, even though if you ask anybody who's my spiritual master, they always refer to their Diksha Guru.
So then there's many ways to take a spiritual master. There are many ways to take a spiritual master.
Yes, but in essence, it's what we will learn soon. Tat vidhi pranipatena. It's in essence, it's the same, but it may take a different form. It may take a different form. So, in other words, it doesn't conform to our mundane idea. There's a transcendental way it moves. Actually, there's an interesting thing about electricity. A capacitor breaks the circuit. A capacitor actually breaks the circuit, but electricity nonetheless flows through something called a capacitor. Just mentioning. Huh? I said it's interesting, even in electricity, a capacitor actually breaks the circuit, but nonetheless electricity flows. It's the way it behaves, but there's a gap. So if a material thing can, so spiritually we may think, oh, this parampara is broken, but actually it's flowing.
Then a capacitor behaves like a catalyst.
In the constitution of a capacitor, there are two components. It interacts, but there's a gap in between them.
Yes.
You see? Because it holds the charge. And that it plays static electricity in that particular component. Anyway. Something from my past life in university. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.